You're out. Don't come back. We're moving forward without you. That was my mother's voice, flat, rehearsed, final, on a voicemail left at 9:47 on a Tuesday night. No prior argument, no heads up, just a 31-second recording that wiped away 27 years of being the daughter who paid every bill, handled every crisis, and never once refused. I played it twice. Then I texted back a single word. Okay. What my family didn't realize was that okay wasn't defeat. It was permission, granted to myself, to stop serving as their safety net. Within 72 hours, the family trust was locked, the house deal collapsed, and their lawyer left messages I had zero intention of answering. By morning, 46 missed calls piled up, plus a text from the attorney. We have a serious problem. I laughed aloud and typed back. Before I continue, if this story resonates, pause for a second to like, subscribe, and share your location plus local time in the comments. I'd love to know where you're tuning in from. My name is Vivian. I'm 27. Now let me take you back to that Tuesday evening in October, the night the voicemail changed everything. I was sitting cross-legged on my bed in a Philadelphia studio apartment, laptop propped on a pillow, wrapping up a risk assessment for a client whose portfolio waved more red flags than a parade. My job was spotting threats before they struck. Ironic, right? My phone vibrated on the nightstand. One missed call from Mom, followed by the voicemail alert. I nearly skipped it. My mother seldom called me directly. She rang Brooke, my younger sister, the one still living 20 minutes from our parents, the one whose name dominated every family group chat like breaking news. When Mom needed me, it was usually a terse text, "Call me back," or "Send money, please." But a voicemail felt unusual, almost intimate, so I hit play. Her voice emerged clear and emotionless, as if she'd rehearsed it before a mirror. "Vivian, this is your mother. I want you to know we've decided as a family. You are no longer welcome here. Don't come back. Don't make this harder than it has to be. We're moving forward without you." 31 seconds. I checked the playback bar. I replayed it, expecting a reason, because, a since, even an after what you did. Nothing. Just the judgment, no hearing. I opened our family group chat, the one Brooke started 2 Christmases ago, where Mom shared casserole recipes and Dad posted blurry backyard bird photos. I'd been removed, not muted, removed, and the name had changed. The old one, Owens Fam. The new one, etched in my memory forever, Us. So that's what I'd become, the opposite of us. I placed the phone face down and stared at the framed photo on my shelf. Our family at Brooke's college graduation, Mom glowing, Dad's hand on Brooke's shoulder, me on the far right, half-cropped by whoever snapped it. I should have noticed then. For 10 minutes, I sat motionless, hands in my lap, hearing the upstairs neighbor's TV seep through the ceiling. Laugh track. Someone above was enjoying a sitcom, while my entire family voted me off the island. My first impulse was the familiar one. Call back, apologize, even without knowing why. Ask what I'd done, promise to repair it. That had been my pattern since age 14. Absorb the fault, mend the fracture, preserve the peace. My thumb hovered over Mom's name and contacts, but something jammed, like a gear finally stripped. Perhaps her tone, not furious, not wounded, but practiced, or perhaps the timing. That afternoon, I'd recalculated the mortgage on the family house, the house I funded, where Brooke occupied the master bedroom while I took the pull-out couch on visits. I lowered my thumb, opened the text thread with Mom, typed one word, okay. 5 letters. I added a period and sent it. Delivered. Then silence. No typing indicator, no callback, just quiet. That silence spoke volumes. She'd anticipated pursuit, pleading, explanations. When none arrived, she had no next line. Sleep evaded me, not from sorrow. That struck later, around 3 a.m., brief and piercing like a Charlie horse. No, my mind did what it does under stress. It worked. I opened my laptop and built a new spreadsheet. Title, Family Financial Obligations, V. Owens. Column A, Item. Column B, Monthly Amount. Column C, Duration. Column D, Total. I typed and the columns revealed the true cost of being the reliable daughter, far higher than I realized. Mortgage on the family house, $1,850 monthly. 3 years, $66,600 alone. Health insurance for mom and dad, $640 a month. 2.5 years, $19,200. Then Brooke's car loan, the white SUV she flaunted on Instagram as blessed, $380 a month, 14 months, $5,320. Then the emergencies, dad's back surgery copay, the roof repair before winter, Brooke's security deposit when she moved out, then back in, then out again, mom's dental bills she'd ignored until collections. By 2 a.m., everything fit on one screen. I leaned back and eyed the bolded total at bottom right, $143,214. Over 6 years, I'd given more than my annual salary to people who just severed me with a voicemail. But the figure wasn't the cruelest revelation. The worst came when I opened the supporting files in my cloud folder, the obsessive documentation that made me excel at work. I was co-signer on the mortgage. My name sat on the deed as co-owner. I was sole trustee of Grandma's trust fund, $86,000 earmarked for family education and medical needs, entrusted to me because Grandma said I was the only one she trusted with money. Every vital financial strand sustaining their lives ran through my name. They told me to go, but they forgot that I was the foundation. I hit print. The small desktop printer whirred awake in the dim apartment, ejecting page after page of receipts, statements, contracts. Anger hadn't arrived yet. That would come. For now, I was simply awake, truly awake for years. Morning arrived gray and frigid, October in Philadelphia, a sky that felt like a low ceiling. I brewed coffee on instinct, opened my laptop, and logged into the joint household account, the one I'd created 2 years earlier to simplify payments, mortgage, utilities, insurance, everything flowing from one pool. My funds entered, their expenses exited. The dashboard appeared and I spotted it instantly. The contact email had been altered. My address, vi.owens@fin.provider, replaced by one I knew well, Brooks. The change timestamp, 2 days before the voicemail, 2 days prior. I sat with that fact, let it sink in. My sister had updated the contact on my financial account before Mom ever recorded her message. The voicemail wasn't a burst of emotion. It was premeditated. I kept excavating. Deep in my inbox, beneath layers of work messages, lay a forwarded alert from the title company managing the house. Subject, beneficiary amendment, confirmation pending. The attached form sought my removal from the property deed to take effect upon approval, submitted by Brooke Owens, designated as authorized family representative. I had never granted anyone power to represent me. I had never consented to being erased from any title. My coffee sat untouched, turning cold on the desk. Here's what crystallized in that moment. In the pale gray morning light, laptop screen aglow, phone still flipped face down from the night before, Brooke didn't merely want me exiled from the family. That was the convenient narrative. What she truly wanted was me stripped from the paperwork, from the deed, the trust, every record proving I had constructed the life they enjoyed. The voicemail served as misdirection. The actual theft unfolded quietly in official filings. And here's one crucial fact about me. I specialize in risk analysis. I detect fraud patterns for a living. My sister had just placed the riskiest wager of her existence. To grasp what unfolded next, you must first see where it truly began. Not with the voicemail. That was the conclusion. The origin was softer, more ordinary. It was a kitchen. I was 14, Brooke was 10. Summer vacation had barely begun when our parents gathered us at the dining table to outline the arrangement. Brooke would attend art camp, 4 weeks, $300. I would remain home, supervise her mornings before camp, then cook lunch, handle laundry, and ensure the house stayed intact while Mom and Dad worked. I asked about math camp, a free program at the community college for students with strong grades. I qualified. Mom shook her head. Someone has to stay for your sister. But it's free, I pointed out. Vivian, you're the older one. You understand. I understood. Brooke received summers of freedom. I received duty. My academic success wasn't celebrated, it was projected as future earning potential. When I earned honor roll that fall, Mom's sole remark, "Good, keep it up. One of you needs to make real money someday." No pride, no "you deserve this," just utility on the horizon. That same year, Brooke flunked her sixth grade finals. The household mobilized. Dad took her for ice cream. Mom comforted her for an hour, stroking her hair. "You're more than a test score, baby." I listened from the next room. No equivalent words ever reached me, not because I struggled, but because I never seemed to require solace. I was the strong one, the reliable one, the one who endured. Mom once stated it plainly. Sophomore year of college, a phone call. I admitted feeling overwhelmed. Her response, "You're the strong one, Vivian. Brooke needs me more." 7 words I carried like a stone in my rib cage for 10 years. My first genuine paycheck landed on a Friday in June, the summer after graduation. 21, student loans already accruing interest, entry-level role at a mid-size consulting firm demanding 60-hour weeks. Pride lasted roughly 4 hours. That evening, Mom called. Dad had injured his back at work, not workers' comp eligible as he was a subcontractor. Hospital bill, $2,000. Could I assist? I transferred it that night. No hesitation. 3 weeks later, Brooke required a $1,200 security deposit for her first apartment. 17, soon 18, starting cosmetology school. I asked Mom cautiously, "Does Brooke have any savings?" The ensuing silence cut like a blade. Then, "She's your baby sister, Vivian. She's just beginning. How can you even ask?" I sent the $1,200. My own student debt, $38,000, remained unmentioned. No inquiries, no offers, it wasn't even discussed. The unspoken rule was clear. Vivian is fine. Vivian manages. Vivian never asks for help because Vivian never needs it. That first year post-graduation, I funneled nearly $14,000 home. Not as one sum, in fragments, a few hundred here, 1,000 there, always framed as urgent, always just this once. Just this once became monthly. Gratitude was never expressed. I don't mean overlooked once. The word thank you was entirely absent. From texts, calls, even Thanksgiving when I flew budget and ate at the table my payments had restored. My birthday that year? Mom forgot. She shared a nostalgic photo of Brooke on Facebook the same week. Brooke's birthday 2 months later, house party. I was tasked with ordering and funding the cake. By the end of the year, I survived 9 straight days on ramen because my account hovered near zero. I never confessed it. If I had, Mom would have called me dramatic, and I would have believed her. That realization stings deepest. 3 years before the voicemail, Mom phoned with what she called a family opportunity. She and Dad aimed to purchase a house, a 3-bedroom beyond city limits, calmer area, good schools for future grandkids. She framed it as a well-deserved dream. The truth was stark. Their credit was ruined. Dad's medical debt, an old missed car payment, a collections judgment Mom had let fester. No bank would approve. So she asked, "Just co-sign, Vivian. Your credit is impeccable. The house stays in my name, but you'll be on the loan and deed. It's the family home. Someday it belongs to both you girls." I agreed. No lawyer, no separate agreements beyond the mortgage documents. The internalized voice, Mom's installation, whispered, "Family doesn't demand contracts. Asking means distrust. Distrust means you're not family." I signed. Co-signer on the mortgage, co-owner on the deed, Mom primary. From then on, the $1,850 payment withdrew from my account like clockwork. Brooke claimed the biggest bedroom immediately, decorated, photographed, captioned, "Home Sweet Home." On my rare visits, scarce because overtime funded those payments, I slept on the pull-out sofa in the den. I financed a house where I couch surfed. Roughly 6 months before the voicemail, during a family call, I overheard Mom speaking to Brooke in the background. She assumed I'd hung up. She said, "Once we refinance, we can pull equity. Don't worry about Vivian. I'll handle her." Handle me, like an expense line, a loose end. I stayed silent, convinced myself I'd misheard, but my hands trembled as I set the phone down, and the spreadsheet before me dissolved into a blur. My grandmother, Mom's mother, passed 4 years earlier. Lung cancer, swift and merciless. Diagnosis to funeral in 11 weeks. Yet Grandma remained lucid to the last. 2 months before her death, she revised her trust, $86,000 earmarked for family education and medical needs. She appointed one trustee. Me. Not Mom, not Brooke. Me. I recall the lawyer reciting it. Mom's face froze. She held her tongue then, not in front of counsel, but later in the car. Your grandmother didn't understand how things really work.
That money should be managed by the family collectively. I am the family, Mom. She offered no reply. The trust remained untouched for 3 years. Then Brooke reached out. She requested $15,000 for a business idea, an online resale shop inspired by someone's social media success. No plan, no forecasts, just enthusiasm and a wholesaler link. I declined, not to wound her, but because the trust terms were precise: education and medical only, not seed money for an unstructured venture. Brooke cried, naturally. She called Mom, Mom called me. Your grandmother would have wanted to support Brooke. You're being controlling. I'm adhering to the trust document. Mom, that's literally my legal responsibility. Brooke didn't speak to me for 2 months afterward. During that silence, a cousin quietly informed me that Brooke had been telling extended family I was hoarding Grandma's money, perhaps even spending it on myself. I never bothered to set the record straight. I was exhausted from battling shadows. But here's the detail that proved decisive, the part I didn't yet recognize as ammunition. 2 months before the voicemail, Brooke phoned me, said she wanted to clear the air. Her tone was unusually warm, almost tender, sisterly in a way absent for years. We spoke for 40 minutes, and at one point, her caution slipped, or perhaps she simply grew careless. She said it plainly. Honestly, Viv, I just need you out of the trust and off the deed. Then everything becomes simpler for everyone. She delivered it as though it were sensible, as if relinquishing my own stake were a kindness I should gladly offer. What she didn't know, what she could never have anticipated, was that I had recorded the call. Not to ensnare her, it was routine. My app automatically records any family call exceeding 10 minutes, preceded by a clear disclosure tone. Brooke either missed it or ignored it. I backed up the file in 3 secure locations: cloud, USB, and a self-emailed copy titled "Just in Case." Lying in bed that night, one question looped relentlessly. Why did Brooke need me erased so urgently? We shared the same childhood home. I packed her lunches when Mom worked late. I co-signed her first car. Yet somehow I'd become the villain in a narrative she authored without my knowledge. I still don't entirely comprehend it. Perhaps you do. If you've ever been the dependable one repaid with betrayal, why do you believe they act this way? Share your perspective in the comments. Wednesday morning, 2 days after the voicemail, I arrived at the office looking as though I'd been dragged through a paper shredder. Marcus Webb spotted it before I reached my desk. 7 years my senior, a CPA with a measured voice and the quiet steadiness that reassured clients handing over their messiest finances. We'd collaborated on countless audits. He wasn't one to intrude, yet that morning he did. I'd stepped to the break room for coffee. When I returned, Marcus stood near my desk, not seated, frozen mid-stride. My laptop remained open, the spreadsheet still glowed. Family Financial Obligations, V. Owens. The bolded total stared up. He glanced from me to the screen, then back. Viv, his voice stayed low. I don't mean to intrude, but that spreadsheet, is it money owed to you or money you've given away? I could have deflected, claimed it was a client mock-up, a template, but I was surviving on 4 hours of sleep and the residue of a decade spent pretending everything was fine. The directness in his question, no judgment, no embellishment, broke the seal. I gave him the outline: voicemail, removal from the group chat, the house, the trust, the number.
Marcus didn't respond with the usual dismay. No gasp, no head shake, no, "That's awful." He simply went silent. When Marcus falls quiet, he's computing. 10 seconds. Then he spoke words that reconfigured everything inside me. "Vivian, I've stood exactly where you are. Different specifics, identical structure. My father orchestrated something similar when I was 29. The advice I wish I'd received earlier: you don't need to call them back. You need to call a lawyer." He scribbled a name on a sticky note and slid it across. Janet Aldridge, real estate and trust attorney, Philadelphia number. "She's excellent. She's the one who saved my house." I tucked the note into my wallet. It remained there for precisely 7 hours, the time required to uncover what came next. That evening, I reviewed every document methodically, the way I dissect a client's portfolio, line by line, hunting discrepancies. I reopened the title company email requesting my removal from the deed. I'd seen it that first morning, but hadn't examined the attachment closely. Now I did. Standard beneficiary amendment form. At the bottom, 2 signature lines. Donna Owens, primary owner; Vivian Owens, co-owner. Both were signed. I zoomed in on my signature. My stomach chilled. It was close. Someone had studied my hand. The slant matched, the scale matched, even the tiny tail I add to the N in Vivian was present. But the O in Owens was incorrect. I formed my capital O with an open loop, a quirk born from years of rapid financial signatures. This O was closed, fully sealed. A minor detail, one only I would catch, but I caught it. Someone had forged my signature to strip me from the deed of a property I'd poured over $66,000 into. I checked the submission metadata. Electronically filed by Brooke Owens, authorized family representative. Date: 3 days before the voicemail, 3 days prior. I leaned back and allowed the chronology to assemble itself. Brooke submits the forged amendment to erase me from the deed. Then she alters the contact email on the joint account. Only afterwards does Mom record and send the voicemail. This wasn't a family unraveling in passion. This was choreography. Step 1, Step 2, Step 3. Paperwork first, my removal from the records, then emotional exile so I wouldn't scrutinize documents while they shoved me out. My sister had merely not betrayed me, she had executed a project plan. And in my profession, every project plan generates a trail. The next morning, I called Janet Aldridge. Her assistant connected me within 3 minutes after I mentioned forged signature and pending title amendment. Janet's office occupied a converted brownstone near Rittenhouse Square, floor-to-ceiling bookshelves, a glass desk catching overhead light, and a chair so unyielding it seemed engineered to keep clients sharp. She offered water. I declined. Comfort wasn't the goal. Clarity was. I placed the folder on her desk. Every piece. Mortgage contract, deed, the forged amendment with both signatures, title company email requesting my removal from the deed, itemized spreadsheet totaling $143,000, bank alert confirming Brooke's email change on the joint account. Janet reviewed each page like a surgeon studying imaging, methodical, expressionless, glasses perched low on her nose. She placed the forged signature beside my authentic one from the original mortgage contract and examined them side by side. Then she removed her glasses and met my gaze. "Ms. Owens, you face 2 issues and 1 key advantage." She tapped the forged document. "Issue 1, someone perpetrated fraud with your identity. The signature mismatch could substantiate a forgery allegation." She tapped the title company message. "Issue 2, a refinance is underway on a co-owned property without your awareness or approval. Both are grave." She paused. "Your advantage is clear. You're the co-signer. You're the co-owner. You're the sole trustee of the family trust. Nothing, not the refinance, not the title alteration, not $1 from that trust proceeds without your genuine signature, and your genuine signature is precisely what they couldn't obtain." I absorbed that briefly, then posed the question simmering since Tuesday night. What if I simply halt everything, cease the mortgage payments, refuse to sign anything, stop serving as the backbone? Janet interlaced her fingers. Then the entire framework crumbles under its own burden. The bank sends a notice, the refinance fails, the trust remains sealed. All of it, every financial setup they rely on, grinds to a halt until you choose differently. She allowed that to settle, then added softly, "One more detail you should know. Forging a signature on a deed amendment isn't merely civil in Pennsylvania. It can constitute a felony. I'm not suggesting you pursue it, but recognize the option exists." My chair felt markedly less rigid. That evening, in my apartment, I accessed the recording app on my phone. I hadn't replayed Brooke's call since it occurred 2 months prior. Back then, I dismissed it as irritating yet innocuous, just Brooke being Brooke, maneuvering for her desires with a gentle tone and indirect plea. Now, armed with new context, it resonated entirely differently. I inserted my earbuds and pressed play. Brooke's voice enveloped me, warm and relaxed, the manner she adopts when desiring something without yet voicing it. "I'm just saying, Viv, you're so occupied constantly. You've got your job, your place, your entire existence up there. Wouldn't it be simpler if you just withdrew a bit? Let Mom manage the trust and house matters. Honestly, if your name wasn't attached, you wouldn't need to fret over payments anymore. That'd be a relief, right?" I recall deeming it awkward but benign at the time, just Brooke streamlining her reality. Then came the pivotal line, minute 32. "I just need you out of the trust and off the deed." Need, not want, not "it might be nice if." Need. She'd articulated her intent precisely, spoken it aloud on a recorded line, following an app's disclosure tone she either overlooked or disregarded. And when I didn't willingly vanish, she forged my name and enlisted Mom to issue the banishment framed as a family verdict. I backed up the file again. Cloud, USB, self-email. 3 duplicates. Because in my family, facts tend to vanish. I didn't yet know when or how I'd deploy it, but I knew this. That recording was the hidden ace Brooke was unaware of, and I'd reserve it for the perfect moment to reveal. Friday afternoon, Janet's office. I faced her with a legal pad covered front and back. She held a similar one. "Let's proceed systematically," she said. "Step by step, your options, legal entitlements, and repercussions for them and you. Step 1. Alert the bank to the forged signature on the deed amendment." Janet would dispatch a formal notice with proof, my true signature from the original mortgage contract against the counterfeit on the amendment. The bank would legally halt the refinance pending review. Step 2. As sole trustee of Grandma's Trust, I possessed complete power to suspend all distributions. No judicial mandate required, no family consent. 1 signature from me, 1 call to the trust administrator, and $86,000 enters lockdown. Step 3. Terminate the automatic mortgage drafts. I was cosigner, not primary borrower. Donna held that role. Halting my contributions shifted the full duty to her, and her credit couldn't sustain the loan solo. The bank would notify formally within 30 days. If she couldn't remedy or refinance a loan, foreclosure proceedings would commence. Step 4. Janet issues a cease and desist on my behalf, informing the family of my immediate withdrawal from all joint financial duties. I absorbed each step, affirmed each, then voiced the query my instincts clung to. "If they lose the house?" Janet didn't flinch. "Viviana, they instructed you to depart. You're departing. You're not seizing the house. You're extricating yourself from a loan unsupported without you. If collapse ensues, the foundation was flawed." I grasped the pen and endorsed the authorization. The pen weighed more than expected, not from doubt, but awareness that once the ink set, reversal was impossible. No discreet settlement, no midnight call restoring status quo. This marked the end of a bridge I hadn't torched. I'd simply ceased embodying it. Monday morning, during lunch, I visited the bank overseeing Grandma's Trust. The branch was serene, sparse customers at tellers, faint, unidentifiable music, fluorescent buzz. I met with Trust Officer Dan, a courteous man in a blue tie, nervously clicking his pen while speaking. I submitted my trustee credentials, photo ID, original trust document, Janet's letter affirming my status. Dan examined everything, clicking 14 times. Then he looked up. "Miss Owens, you're the sole trustee here. No co-signers, no co-trustees, no alternate beneficiaries with access." Click. what do you wish to do? I'd like to impose a complete freeze on all trust distributions, effective now. No withdrawals, transfers, or payouts without my written consent. He blinked. Any specific rationale? I harbor concerns over possible unauthorized attempts. I intend to audit all activity before permitting further actions. That phrasing resonated. He typed for 2 minutes, printed a form, passed it over. I signed. $86,000 secured. Dan noted, confirmation email within the hour. No one accesses these funds sans your notarized written release. Thank you, Dan. I stepped into the October sunlight, the air crisp, leaves shifting hues. I paused on the sidewalk, sensing something unforeseen, not victory, not contentment, but buoyancy, like releasing of a lease I'd unwittingly hauled through every threshold for 4 years. This was step 1. The trust was protected. Grandma's funds were secure. But the true tremor was yet to arrive. When Brooke attempted to reach that account, and she would, inevitably, she'd encounter an impenetrable barrier, one no charm, no tears, no forgery could breach. And that barrier bore my name. Tuesday morning, Janet's paralegal dispatched 3 emails before noon. The first to the mortgage lender. Formal notice of signature fraud on the deed amendment, including a side-by-side comparison of my authentic signature and the counterfeit, plus my sworn affidavit affirming I had never approved any alteration. The letter demanded an immediate suspension of all property-related transactions pending the bank's internal inquiry. The second email, to the same lender, notification that I, as cosigner, was revoking my automatic payment authorization effective the following billing cycle. It invoked my legal right to discontinue voluntary contributions on a loan where the primary borrower, Donna Owens, had pursued unauthorized changes without my agreement. The third went straight to the Owens family, directed to whatever email Donna kept on record. A crisp cease and desist. In precise legal prose, it declared that Vivian Owens was withdrawing from all joint financial commitments, no further payments toward mortgage, insurance, or any shared expense, and that all subsequent contact must route through Janet Aldridge, attorney at law. 3 messages, 12 attachments total, 3 sends. By 4 p.m., the lender replied. The refinance was halted, pending fraud review. The deed amendment flagged. No title modifications would proceed until further notice. I sat in my car in the office parking garage after work. Engine off, hands gripping the wheel. They trembled, not from dread, but from the dizzying reality of an irreversible act. Within 48 to 72 hours, those notices would reach them. Mom would discover the mortgage payment hadn't cleared, the refinance had collapsed, the trust was sealed. An insurance cancellation warning would arrive within 30 days. Every safety net I'd woven beneath them, every silent stream of money, signature, and dependability, had vanished. Not severed. Released. The way you drop a rope when the other person declares they no longer require your hold. I started the engine, eased out of the garage, navigated Philadelphia traffic with windows lowered, cold air rushing in, and waited for the phone to erupt. It took precisely 51 hours. Thursday morning, at my desk reviewing a client's exposure analysis, the phone began vibrating. Not the discreet buzz of a text, the prolonged, urgent ring of incoming calls, one after another. I didn't check immediately, finished my paragraph, saved the file, then turned the phone over. 19 missed calls from Mom. 8 from Dad, 14 from Brooke, 5 from an unfamiliar number, 46 in total. The texts stacked like masonry. Mom, call me right now. Mom, this isn't a game. Mom, something's wrong with the bank. You need to fix it. Brooke, Viv, what did you do? Brooke, the refinance is frozen. They mentioned your lawyer sent something. Brooke, call me now. Dad, honey, please call back. Your mother is very upset. Dad, we need to discuss the house situation. And then the one that made me set my coffee aside and reread it slowly. An email from the unknown number. Professional letterhead. Gregory Pratt, attorney at law, representing Donna Owens. Dear Miss Owens, I represent your mother, Donna Owens, concerning the residential property at address. It has come to our attention that certain financial actions have been taken that materially affect our client's interests. We request an immediate conversation to explore resolution. Please reply at your earliest convenience. At the bottom, almost incidental, we have a serious problem. I read it once more, then leaned back in my chair and laughed. Not bitterly, not triumphantly, just the startled, reflexive sound of someone who had spent 6 years answering every call on the first ring and who had now let 46 ring through to voicemail. 46. The figure echoed because I calculated, almost absently, roughly 1 missed call for every $3,000 I'd ever sent. How swiftly "we're moving on without you" transforms into "call us back immediately." I opened Gregory Pratt's email, forwarded it to Janet, and added a single line. Let's schedule the meeting. Brooke couldn't wait for formalities. Patience was never her strength. The texts arrived Thursday afternoon, one by one, timed just enough apart to imply she was pacing while composing. Viv, I don't know what you told the bank, but you need to undo this. Mom is spiraling. 12 minutes later. This isn't about you and me, okay? This is about the family. You're putting Mom and Dad in a really dangerous position right now. 20 minutes after. I never wanted any of this to go this far. You know that. We were just upset. People say things when they're upset. Then the closer, the one she must have believed would strike deepest. You're being really, really selfish right now. Like unbelievably selfish. I sat at my kitchen counter and read each one deliberately, not to comprehend. I understood them perfectly. I read to catalog the pattern one final time before disengaging forever. Message 1, deflect. Shift focus on my actions, not hers. Message 2, invoke family. Deploy Mom and Dad to activate guilt. Message 3, minimize. Recast the voicemail as momentary emotion. Omit the forgery, the email change, and the sequenced plan. Message 4, the label, selfish, the accusation I'd been fleeing since age 14. 4 texts, 0 apologies, no reference to the voicemail, no acknowledgement of the forged signature, no mention of the deed amendment she filed under my name without consent. Classic Brooke. Same tactics, only amplified now that consequences had arrived. I replied with one message. Have your lawyer contact mine. I attached Janet's business card as a contact file. 30 seconds of quiet. Then 3 gray dots. They vanished, reappeared. Are you serious right now? I closed the app, placed the phone's screen down on the counter. One final notification slid across the banner before I silenced the thread. Fine, but don't blame me for what happens next. I nearly smiled. That line, "Don't blame me for what happens next," was the most candid thing Brooke had uttered in years. She was already plotting her countermove and preemptively securing deniability. The difference now, I was plotting too, and my plans arrived with evidence. Friday evening, I was preparing dinner. Pasta. Simple. Something to occupy my hands. When the phone rang, Dad's number, I answered. Muscle memory. The last time Dad called twice in a week had been the ER visit, the responsible daughter picking up the responsible call.
But it wasn't Dad. Vivian Marie Owens. Mom's voice. Full name. The exact timbre she deploys to shrink you back to 11. I don't know what's possessed you, but you are tearing this family apart. Your father hasn't slept in 3 days. The bank sent a letter about the mortgage, the insurance company says our coverage ends soon, and now Brooke tells me you're hiding behind a lawyer like we're strangers. I lowered the burner to simmer. Mom, you left a voicemail telling me not to come back. I'm following your instructions. That was because I was upset. You know how I get when I'm emotional.
But freezing accounts, stopping payments, this is you being deliberately vindictive. I stopped paying for things that no longer belong to me. You declared I'm not family. If I'm not family, I'm no longer financially accountable for the family. Silence. 2 beats. 3. After everything I sacrificed for you, after all the years I poured into raising you, this is how you repay me? There it was, the familiar script. The same guilt ledger that had compelled me to write checks for 6 years. Her sacrifices forever in credit. My debt eternal. Mom, I'm not repaying anything. I'm finished paying. There's a distinction. Her inhale sharpened. You will regret this, Vivian. Mark my words, you'll look back on this moment and feel nothing but shame. Maybe, but if shame comes, it'll be on my own terms, not because you ordered it. I ended the call, set the phone beside the stove. My hands shook. The pasta water surged over the rim, hissing against the flame. I wasn't crying, or if tears fell, they weren't born of guilt. They stemmed from the quiet grief of finally accepting that the mother I kept hoping she would become had never existed. No amount of mortgage payments could have conjured her. I switched off the burner. Appetite gone. Yet, standing in that hushed kitchen, steam drifting around me, I noticed something crucial. Donna had never mentioned the forged signature, not a word. Either she was unaware of Brooke's actions, or she knew and chose to ignore it. I wasn't certain which possibility cut deeper. Saturday morning, my phone turned into a notice board of distant relatives I hadn't heard from in months. Aunt Helen, Mom's younger sister, texted first. Honey, your mother is beside herself. Whatever this disagreement is, can't you just talk it out? She says you're trying to take the house. Then Uncle Robert, Dad's side. You know family comes first, right? Don't let money ruin what really matters. A cousin I'd met twice. Hey, Vivian, not sure what's happening, but Brooke seems really hurt. Probably should call your mom. One after another, all morning, each bearing the same invisible signature. I opened Facebook. I hadn't posted in weeks, but intuition stirred, and there it was, Brooke's status from 11 p.m. the night before. When your own blood turns their back on you over money, family should never be about transactions. Some people only care about control, praying for healing. 47 likes, 22 comments, hearts, prayer hands, stay strong, babe, from people clueless about the facts. Aunt Helen commented, we love you, sweetie. The truth always comes out. Yes, I thought, it does. My chest constricted. The old impulse surged, to explain, to correct the record, to post my side, the spreadsheet, the forgery, the voicemail. I drafted 3 replies, deleted them all. Then I recalled Marcus's words over coffee 2 days earlier, when I'd confessed my fear of becoming the villain in Brooke's version of events. Don't fight the narrative on their battlefield, he'd said, stirring without looking up. Bring the truth to the right room. The right room, not Facebook, not group chats, not a phone call where mom can hang up when facts turn inconvenient. A room with a table, lawyers, documents, where tears don't trump evidence and I'm the victim has to stand against timestamps. I closed Facebook, opened email, wrote to Janet. I think it's time for the meeting, all of them, face to face with everything we have. Janet replied in 11 minutes. Agreed, I'll coordinate with Pratt. Friday, my office. 5 days. 5 days until every story Brooke had spun would face a conference table. I set the phone on the counter and poured a second coffee. My hands were steady. Monday afternoon, Janet called from her office on speaker so I could listen in. She'd connected with Gregory Pratt. The exchange was courteous, the way chess is courteous, deliberate moves, economical words, nothing spoundered. Mr. Pratt, I represent Vivian Owens. As you're aware, my client is co-signer on the mortgage and co-owner on the deed for the property your client occupies. She's also sole trustee of the Margaret Owens Family Trust. I'm familiar with the arrangements, Gregory replied. His tone was measured, lawyerly. Then you should also know a deed amendment form was submitted to the title company bearing my client's signature, a signature she did not provide. Side-by-side comparison reveals clear discrepancies. The bank's fraud department has flagged the document and suspended the pending refinance. Silence. I counted 8 seconds of absolute quiet from a man who charges $400 an hour. Are you alleging, Gregory said slowly, that my client submitted a forged document? I'm stating that a document bearing my client's signature she did not execute was filed under her name. The title company and lender have both been notified. The bank's investigation proceeds independently. More silence. Then Gregory's voice, noticeably tight. I'll need to confer with my clients about this. I'd recommend doing so promptly, Mr. Pratt, before the bank's fraud division does it for you. The call concluded with Friday confirmed. Janet hung up and turned to me. His pause told me everything. He didn't know about the forgery. She interlaced her fingers on the desk. That means either your mother withheld it from her own attorney, or your mother didn't know herself. If Donna didn't know, then Brooke acted alone and told no one. She told one person, me, on a recorded call. Janet's eyes narrowed, not in doubt, but in quiet satisfaction. Friday is going to be very interesting. Wednesday evening, I was rinsing dishes after dinner, water running, when the phone rang. Dad. Actually, Dad this time. Vivian. His voice was the softest I've ever heard it. Not angry, not the borrowed authority he sometimes borrowed from Mom. Just weary, the bone-deep kind. Hi, Dad. The lawyer, our lawyer, called today. He said there's an issue with the house paperwork, something about a signature that doesn't match. He paused. I let the silence extend. The faucet still man. He says someone may have signed your name on a form. That's correct. Another pause. I could hear his greeting. Do you know who did it? You should ask Brooke. His breathing halted. Brooke? The form was submitted under her name, Dad. Authorized family representative.
She submitted it 3 days before Mom sent that voicemail. Silence stretched, long enough that I glanced at the screen to confirm the call hadn't disconnected. The timer kept ticking. You're certain? I have the submission records. My lawyer has the signature comparison. The bank has flagged it for fraud investigation. Yes, Dad, I'm certain. A sound came through the line, a chair creaking as though he'd dropped into it heavily, or perhaps it was his knees giving way. Let me talk to your mother about this. There it was again, the sentence he'd uttered 100 times across my life. Let me talk to your mother, the perpetual deferral, the man who rarely formed an independent view until Donna had approved it. Dad, I'm not calling for permission. I'm not asking you to intervene. You asked a question, I answered it. If the family wants resolution, it happens Friday, Janet's office, with documentation. Vivian, I love you. Dad, I love you too, but I'm finished speaking through walls. I ended the call. The sink water had turned icy. I dried my hands and stood motionless in the kitchen for a long while. What settled over me wasn't rage. It was quieter, sadder. The image of my father, at 59, finally registering that the wrong daughter had been telling the truth all along, and that he'd spent decades choosing not to verify.
Thursday, Janet's assistant emailed the formal invitation to Gregory Pratt's office. Meeting scheduled for Friday at 2 p.m. in Janet's conference room. Attendees: Vivian Owens, Donna Owens, Raymond Owens, Brooke Owens, Janet Aldridge, Gregory Pratt. Janet and I reviewed the ground rules together. If I was going to sit across from my entire family for the first time since that voicemail attempted to erase me, I required structure, not sentiment. Rule 1. No raised voices. Any shouting adjourns the meeting immediately. This is professional dialogue, not a family kitchen dispute. Rule 2. Assertions demand evidence. Anyone may speak freely, but credibility rests on documentation. Rule 3. I present first, uninterrupted, my case, my timeline, my proof. Questions follow. Gregory accepted all 3 terms within the hour. No objections. That silence spoke volumes. His clients needed me far more than I needed them. They required my signature, my payments, my cooperation. Without them, they faced a stalled refinance, an expiring insurance policy, a frozen trust, and a mortgage they couldn't sustain alone. I assembled my folder the way I prepare a client portfolio: meticulous, labeled, irrefutable. Tab 1, the spreadsheet, $143,214. Tab 2, forged signature beside the authentic original. Tab 3, email chain documenting Brooke's unauthorized change to the joint account contact. Tab 4, the timeline, deed amendment, email alteration, voicemail, group chat removal, all dated, all sourced. Tucked in the back pocket, a small envelope containing a USB drive with the recording. I hadn't yet decided whether to play it. That would depend on the room, on whether Brooke chose truth or her customary deflection. Marcus texted that evening, "Ready for tomorrow?" I replied, folder packed, hands steady. He answered, "You don't owe them explanations. They owe you one. Go claim it." I set the alarm for 6 a.m., laid out my clothes, sipped chamomile tea. I dislike it, but someone claimed it calms nerves. It didn't. The folder on my nightstand did. Friday, 2 p.m., Janet Aldridge's conference room, 3rd floor of the brownstone. Glass walls, long walnut table, 6 leather chairs, untouched water pitcher. I arrived 10 minutes early, placed my folder precisely in front of me, edges aligned. Janet sat to my left, laptop open, notepad poised. We exchanged no words. The room carried a faint scent of printer toner and lemon cleaner. At 1:58, the door opened. Mom entered first, navy blouse, chin elevated, purse pressed against her ribs like armor. She glanced at me for 1 second, not at my eyes, at my folder, then took the farthest chair without speaking. Dad followed, gray polo, hands pocketed. He met my gaze briefly. Something flickered across his face, not quite guilt, not quite shame, a nameless shade between. He sat beside Mom, folded his hands on the table. Brooke came last, deliberately. Soft pink cardigan over white blouse, eyes red-rimmed, perhaps recently rubbed, perhaps genuinely teary. Her lower lip held the faint quiver she'd mastered in elementary school. She drew her chair close to Mom's and slipped her hand under the table to clasp Mom's. The performance was seamless. To an outsider, she would appear the unequivocal victim. Gregory Pratt entered behind her. Gray suit, firm handshake with Janet, brief nod to me. He claimed the end seat, technically neutral, practically ineffective. Janet began. "Thank you all for coming. This meeting addresses the financial and legal matters that have arisen. Miss Owens will present first, as agreed by both counsel. She will not be interrupted." I opened the folder, looked up, met my mother's eyes for the first time since a voicemail attempted to erase me. "I'll begin with a number." I slid the spreadsheet to the table's center, 5 copies prepared, one for each, one for the record. $143,214. I let the figure hang. No one stirred. That is what I have contributed to this family over the past 6 years. Mortgage payments on this property, $66,600. Health insurance for mom and dad, $19,200. Brooks' car loan, $5,320. Emergency costs, surgeries, roof repairs, security deposits, dental collections, the balance. Every transaction is documented, dates, amounts, account statements. It's all here. Mom's gaze dropped to the page. I watched her trace each line the way one reads an unexpected diagnosis. This is what I gave, I said, not as obligation, not under contract, simply because I was asked and because I believed that's what family required. Mom's lips parted. Janet lifted a single finger, calm, unyielding. Mrs. Owens, your turn will come. I drew the next document, 2 sheets placed side by side, rotated for all to see. Left, my signature from the original mortgage, dated 3 years prior. Right, the signature on the deed amendment requesting my removal from the tile. I paused. I did not sign this form. I did not authorize it. I was unaware it existed until I found it in my email after being excised from this family by voicemail. Gregory Pratt leaned forward, scrutinizing both signatures. His jaw tightened. The form was submitted electronically by Brooke Owens, listed as authorized family representative, 3 days before the voicemail. The room altered, not audibly, but atmospherically, a pressure shift. Dad's hand rose to his forehead. Gregory eased back slowly. Brooke's fingers clenched Mom's more tightly. And Mom studied the signatures, then lifted her eyes to me. Then, for the first time since entering the room, she turned to Brooke.
What is this? She said someone forged my signature. I said to steal my share of a house I paid for. I didn't name who. I didn't need to. Every gaze in the room had already shifted. Brooke released Mom's hand. That's insane. I didn't forge anything. Her voice rose sharply. Vivian is doing what she always does. She's manipulating everything. She's casting herself as the victim because she can't accept that I didn't raise my voice. I didn't have to. Brooke? One word, level, quiet. It sliced through her sentence like a knife through silk. Before you finish that sentence, I want you to hear something. I reached into the folder's back pocket, withdrew the small envelope, and slid out the USB drive. Janet's laptop was already linked to the table speaker. I connected it, located the file, and positioned the cursor over play. This is a recording of a phone conversation between you and me, 2 months before the voicemail. The call was disclosed at the outset. My app emits an audible notification tone. If you wish to challenge its authenticity, Mr. Pratt can arrange verification. Brooke's face drained. Not flushed, pale. The pallor that comes when blood flees the skin. I pressed play. The room filled with Brooke's voice. Warm, casual, coaxing. I just need you out of the trust and off the deed. Then everything gets simpler for everyone. The recording ended. No one stirred. I looked at Donna. She stared at the speaker as though it had struck her. Lips parted slightly, no sound. I looked at Dad. Eyes closed, hand still pressed to his forehead. I looked at Gregory Pratt. He had set his pen down and interlaced his fingers, the classic posture of counsel recalibrating strategy. I looked at Brooke. She searched Mom's face for the familiar lifeline, the instant defense, she didn't mean it, the swift redirection of blame. Mom didn't meet her eyes. 15 seconds of silence. I counted them the way one counts between lightning and thunder, gauging proximity of the strike.
It was the loudest silence my family had ever produced. Then Brooke fractured. That's out of context. I didn't mean it like that. I was just talking, just saying things. People say things. Janet's voice remained precise as a scalpel. The recording is time-stamped 2 months prior to a forged document bearing Miss Owens's signature being submitted to remove her from the deed. The context, I would argue, is exceptionally clear. Brooks turned to Mom again, lip trembling, genuine this time, or practiced. I could no longer distinguish. Mom, you believe me, right? She's twisting everything. She always does this. Donna Owens did not look at her younger daughter. She stared at the spreadsheet, at the column headed total, at the figure that distilled 6 years of her eldest daughter's life into dollars and cents, paid without a single thank you. She said nothing, and in that silence, precise, devastating, something in the room shifted irreversibly. I closed the folder slowly. The soft thud of cover against back page was the only sound. Donna turned to me. Her voice had changed, smaller, thinner. Vivian, I didn't know about the signature. I swear to you, I didn't know. I believe you didn't know about the signature, Mom. She exhaled. But you knew when you recorded that voicemail. You knew when you removed me from the group chat. You knew every time Brooke fed you a story about me, and you never once called to verify if it was true. You chose the version that felt easiest, and I paid the price, in dollars, in years, in every holiday where I sat at the table's edge and convinced myself it was fine. Donna's chin dipped, not a nod, more like an internal brace giving way by degrees. I stood. Here's what happens now. My tone stayed even, professional. The delivery I use when presenting unfavorable risk assessments to clients. No softening available. I scanned the table. The trust will be transferred to a professional fiduciary firm in Philadelphia. I'm resigning as trustee, but Grandma's terms will be strictly enforced. Education and medical only. No exceptions. I went to my father. I am withdrawing as cosigner on the mortgage. You have 60 days to secure alternative financing or decide on the property. I will make no further payments. To Gregory Pratt. Regarding the forged signature, I will not file a criminal complaint at this time. However, every document, every recording, every communication has been preserved and is held by my attorney. To Brooke. She stared at the table, cardigan drawn tight around her. The red-eyed performance had finally dissolved into something raw, or nearer to it. Brooke, I don't hate you, but I don't trust you, and I don't have to. I gathered my folder, gave Janet a single nod, and walked to the door. Dad's voice, cracked, low. Vivian. I paused, hand on the handle, didn't turn. 60 days, Dad. Use them wisely. The door clicked shut. My heels echoed down the corridor, steady, measured, unhurried. I didn't glance back, not from anger, but because nothing remained behind me than I hadn't already said. Walking to my car afterward, I wondered briefly if I should have approached it differently, been gentler, granted more time, attempted one final call before dismantling everything. A part of me still wished conversation could have repaired it, but every conversation over 6 years had concluded identically. Would you have offered them another chance, or would you have left that room exactly as I did? Tell me, I truly want to know. 72 hours after the meeting, the pieces settled precisely where gravity demanded. The house, without me as cosigner, the family's refinance died permanently. The bank issued formal notice. Donna Owens had 90 days to resume full mortgage payments independently, secure a qualifying cosigner, or face foreclosure initiation. Her credit couldn't sustain the loan alone, not remotely. The trust transferred to a licensed fiduciary firm in Philadelphia within a week. Every dollar tracked, every withdrawal now vetted by third-party auditors against Grandma's original stipulations. Brooke could neither charm, cry, nor forge her way to a cent. The insurance. My cancellation notice took effect on the 30th day. Mom and Dad's health coverage lapsed on Wednesday. By Thursday, Donna was navigating the marketplace, discovering for the first time what premiums cost when someone else isn't subsidizing them, nearly double my previous coverage. The attorney, Gregory Pratt, formally withdrew from representing the Owens family 10 days post-meeting. His letter to Donna cited irreconcilable factual discrepancies, polished counsel speak for "your daughter committed fraud and you failed to disclose it." They were now without representation. And the social narrative, the one Brooke had so carefully cultivated on Facebook, began to fracture. Aunt Helen phoned Mom after the meeting with pointed questions. A cousin on Dad's side texted me directly.
"I heard there were forged documents. Is that true?" I didn't reply. I didn't need to. The evidence was conducting its own quiet campaign. None of this was vengeance. I want to be unequivocal on that point. I didn't orchestrate a downfall. I simply stepped out of a framework that remained upright solely because I was propping it. When I released my hold, it behaved as any unbraced structure would. It buckled. Not because I shoved it, because it had never been designed to stand independently. 3 weeks after the meeting, on a Sunday afternoon, I was reading on my couch, an actual book, paper pages, no screen, when Dad called. His voice sounded thinner than usual, as though stretched across too many sleepless nights. "Vivian, I've been meaning to call." "Hi, Dad." "I want to say I'm sorry. I know I should have said it sooner. I should have asked questions when your mother sent that voicemail. I should have examined the paperwork myself instead of assuming someone else had it covered." I waited. With Dad, the apology invariably arrived with a second paragraph. "But sweetheart, is there any way you could give us more time with the house? Your mother's exploring options, but 90 days, it's not much. If you could just extend the cosigner arrangement for a few more months until we sort things out." "Dad." He fell silent. "I heard the apology. I appreciate it. I do. But I also heard the but. You're not calling because you're sorry. You're calling because the family needs my signature again." Quiet, then softer. "Both, Vivian. It's both." Maybe, but the answer remains unchanged. The 60 days I announced at the meeting still stand. Nothing shifts. "Your mother is terrified of losing the house. Then Mom should consult a financial advisor, not me." More silence. Then the sound that struck deepest. Not his words, but his exhale. Long, deflated. The sigh of a man who knows he's pleading with the wrong daughter to repair damage the other daughter inflicted, yet lacks the resolve to voice it plainly. "I understand," he said at last. "Dad, yeah, I love you. That hasn't changed. But love doesn't mean I set myself ablaze to warm someone else. Not anymore." He ended the call without farewell, just a click, then emptiness. The same abrupt quiet that had been his response to every difficult question my entire life. I set the book aside, stared at the ceiling. He had apologized and requested a favor in the same breath. The worst part was that I believe he meant both, the regret and the ask. He simply didn't grasp that one nullified the other. Or perhaps he did, and that was the saddest truth of all. 3 months later, the leaves had vanished. First frost had passed. Philadelphia was doing what Philadelphia does in January. Cold, gray, stubbornly enduring. I sat in a coffee shop near my office on a Saturday morning, laptop open but untouched, watching people through the window. A normal Saturday. Unremarkable. And that was the gift. For the first time in my adult life, unremarkable felt like opulence. The mortgage money, $1,850 monthly, was now depositing into my savings. I had an emergency fund for the first time ever.
I was accelerating student loan payments. I'd booked a flight to Portland for a long weekend in February, simply because I wanted to see the ocean. I had never booked travel purely for desire before. Brooke and I hadn't communicated since the meeting. No text, no voicemail, not even a like on a post. Absolute silence. I checked her Facebook once out of old habit. She'd posted a new status, starting over. No details, no reference to me, the house, or any of it. Just a polished, audience-ready version of her life, sanitized, backstory omitted. I scrolled past and felt nothing. That clean, quiet void where guilt once resided was the nearest thing to freedom I had ever experienced. Mom called once about a month after the meeting. Her voice had altered, not exactly warm, but its sharp edges softened. She asked how I was. I said fine. She said okay. The call lasted 90 seconds. No guilt, no request for money, no mention of Brooke. It wasn't reconciliation, it was a truce. For now, that sufficed. Dad texted me on my birthday. 3 words. Happy birthday, Vivian. First time in years. No exclamation, no emoji. Just my name and recognition of my existence. The smallest gesture possible, yet it was his. The house sold 6 weeks after the meeting. Donna listed it once it became evident no one would co-sign a new loan. I signed the release paperwork, genuine documents this time, bearing my actual signature, to remove my name from the deed. I claimed none of the proceeds. The title listed Donna as primary owner, the equity was hers. I had already tallied the loss, $66,000 in mortgage payments toward a house I never inhabited. I wrote it off, not on taxes, but in my mind, tuition for the costliest lesson I ever received. Marcus met me for coffee that afternoon. He settled across from me, studied my face, and asked, "How do you feel?" I considered it, truly. "Lighter," I said, like I set down something I didn't know I was carrying. He nodded. No further words needed. For the first time in 6 years, every dollar I earned belonged to me, not to donate, not to sacrifice, not to prove I merited a table I was already funding. Simply mine, quietly, unremarkably, beautifully mine. I'm not sharing this story to make you despise my family. I'm sharing it because right now, someone out there is staring at a transfer confirmation for money they can't spare, sent to someone who has never uttered thank you, and telling themselves the same lie I told for 6 years. It's fine. They're family. This is what family does. Brooke isn't a monster. She's a person who learned early that deception earns rewards and tears open doors. No one ever required her to stop. No one enforced a consequence that endured, until the consequence bore my name and arrived with counsel. Mom isn't evil. She's a woman who constructed her identity around control, around anchoring a family that followed her script. When I ceased complying, she responded with the only tool she knew: force. That voicemail wasn't malice. It was panic masquerading as command. Dad isn't a villain. He's a man who spent a lifetime choosing silence over conflict. One day, he discovered silence carries its own cost. He's still learning. I hope he arrives there. And me, I'm the woman who finally understood that family is not a blank check, that loving someone doesn't mean financing their existence while they erase yours, that boundaries aren't punishment. Boundaries are truth, spoken without apology. I don't know what my family will look like a year from now. I don't know if there will be a Thanksgiving I attend, or a call that feels like home. I don't need to know. For the first time, I'm not constructing my life around their reply. So I'll ask you, and I genuinely want to hear, if the people meant to love you most told you to leave, would you fight to remain, or would you finally let them witness what life becomes without you? Share in the comments. I read everyone. Thank you for staying with me through this entire story. If any part struck close, if you've ever been the one sustaining everything while being told you weren't enough, I see you. Drop a comment. Tell me your story. I read them all. And if you haven't yet, hit subscribe so you don't miss what's next. There's another story linked in the description about someone told they'd never make it alone. They proved every doubter wrong in the most satisfying way. I'll see you there.